What's good, Internet? It is Thursday, and that means that we here at Waypoint are back to nerd out and deep dive on the culture, art, and entertainment that has been inspiring and provoking us lately. Today, we are continuing our ongoing conversation, kind of restarting it, about Neon Genesis Evangelion, the Gainax-produced and Hideki Anno-helmed mecha anime that originally ran from 1995 to 1996 and became recently available to watch again in the West on Netflix as of last Friday. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joining me today, those are the voices of Danielle Riendo,
Hi, hello.
Ricardo
Hey.
Contreras. You
Hi.
never say your full name.
That's true.
And-
Somebody on Twitter was just like, oh, that's who that byline
yeah,
is.
yeah, totally.
Good.
Patrick Klepek.
2 seconds before this podcast started, Rob sent me a private message in which a tweet that is just visiting my grandma in Wisconsin, and I open up the local paper with a 1 to 14 ranking of different ranch dressings.
Great.
Cowgirl Ranch.
Look, I'm feeling that Midwestern nostalgia. I miss my people. I miss their
You
ways.
just got to make some time. You just got to give yourself some time to go back.
Tell me Cowgirl Ranch is on there.
Is Cowgirl Ranch on there?
I can't see the full list.
Turn off your ad
I don't.
blocker.
Hidden Valley is number 1.
Oh, is it
Craft
brands?
Classic number 2.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Brands.
brand. Oh, okay.
What did you think it was?
Like different styles of ranch dressing.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Which one did you say?
Cowgirl Ranch. It's like
Annie's Cowgirl?
Annie's Cowgirl.
Yeah, no,
There you
13.
go.
13.
Tasters hated the consistency, saying it was too watery and looked, quote, oddly gray, drab, and sad.
Oh my God.
It smelled like feet or sweat and tasted like bad cheese with a powdery aftertaste. They said, quote, I couldn't taste it again, one wrote.
They didn't mean they wouldn't want to. They meant those buds are gone. They
Oh,
can't.
no.
Wow.
What the
Yeah.
fuck? I think Annie's
Danielle.
Cowgirl is pretty good.
I've never seen anyone set
Look,
themselves up.
it's Waypoint. You can like feet, Danielle. No one's going to judge
No one's
how
gonna
that
judge.
expresses
or
itself.
sweat.
I feel welcome.
Also joining us, Rob Zachney is here. Hi, Rob. Do you have any lists?
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Hi. glad to hear from you, Rob. So, to get us back on track a little bit, back in November, we watched the first 2 episodes of Ava right after Netflix announced that they would be bringing it over. We then didn't watch the rest of it, but we promised that we would come back and do a rewatch this summer. We knew at the time that we wanted to continue building up Be Good and rewatch it. Instead, we're doing it here in the Waypoints feed. So goes life. Just like those Ava pilots, sometimes you have to learn how to adapt and change as a bureaucracy around you throws new obstacles in your way.
Yeah, budgets happen,
change. Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Absolutely. So today we are going to talk about the kind of the 3rd through 7th episodes, but I do want to quickly check back in. Did people watch the first 2 episodes again? I'm getting nods from around the room. Patrick is just kind of blinking.
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I did. Yeah, I shotgunned 7 fucking episodes of this show this morning.
This morning. Totally. And for those of you who watched it, except for Kato and I, this is the first time you're watching the show. So I guess 1 and 2 is the first time you're rewatching those episodes. But any changes in watching it again, revisiting those first 2 episodes? I don't want to do a deep dive on those episodes again because we've bitten off a fucking lot for 3 through 7. But any first impressions or differences in appreciation?
I actually noticed, and I felt like a baby anime fan.
Mm-hmm.
I actually noticed translation differences.
Yeah, like what?
I actually noticed. So I believe in the episodes that we saw,
Yeah.
something that stuck in my mind when Shinji first goes into Unit 01. Is it 01 or just 1?
Unit 1 is fine.
Unit 1. Okay. When he first goes
Yeah.
into 1, he says something like, I'm nauseated, and Captain, sorry, her name.
Which one? Misato
Yes.
or
Who he lives
Ritsuko?
with?
Yeah, Misato. Yeah.
Okay, Misato.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I'm not
Yep, you got
pronouncing it incorrectly. Says, you're a boy. Like, she says something like, suck it up, you're a boy.
Okay.
But in this translation, he says, this is gross. He doesn't say anything about being nauseated. And she says, you're a big boy. instead of like you're a boy.
Right, like come on, you're grown up.
You're a-
Like you're a big boy.
Exactly.
Not
you're a
you're
boy.
masculine, therefore. Right. That's
Right.
interesting.
Yeah.
This translation is going to be a thing that I think a lot of our listeners who already seen the show before and are returning to it, have had lots of conversations already about this translation. I will say that it is a really tricky and weird topic because localization is always a topic that I think draws a lot of attention, and there are high stakes with it. I will say so far through the episodes we've watched, I've been pretty okay with the localization, with a couple of caveats there that seem to be about the translator choosing to lean in the direction of literalization. One of the ones that comes up in those first 2 episodes also is that Shinji gets called the second children, right? Instead of the second child. Whereas in the original 90s dub, he's called the second child. That like the ADV
Wait, third, isn't he?
third. No, isn't.
Is he second or
Yeah,
third?
because isn't one of the episodes they mentioned, have we found the 4th one?
Yeah, okay,
right?
you're
I
right.
wanna
You're
say
right.
that's-
You're right. You're right. The in the original Japanese, it is the English word children, and that is why it's being brought over here as children. Like he is called the third children in Japanese, but the original ADV 90s translation was like, no, that's ridiculous. And they convinced the original production company, like, let us say child. It will be way more evocative if the listener isn't taken out of it when they say that. And so like, that sort of literalization can be a little tricky. I think you also see that with the way they pronounce nerve, which
Yes.
is
Nerve?
nerve. Sometimes nerf. Sometimes nerf.
Sometimes it feels like nerve, but I couldn't tell if my brain was just like inserting that because no, you're wrong. I can see the
Mako.
what are you doing?
Mako. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, honestly, yes.
So my understanding is that it is a German pronunciation, which I'm not
Yeah.
going to get into.
Okay.
For me,
Sure.
the real question is just like, as a dub, is this working for y'all who are watching it dubbed
Oh.
at all? Like, do the voices sound good? There's new voices. Like, are you brought in, or is it too goofy? Or like, what is your impression of just these characters speaking in English if you are watching the dub?
I watched a little bit of both.
I am because
Yeah.
I watched the dub the first time around, and people had said actually the dub on Ava is pretty, like originally in the original series that we watched, the dub was like decent enough that like you're not going to be taken out of the story. So I was like, all right, well I'll just do that the second time around. And also I was curious because they had redubbed it, and so it just seemed like it might be an interesting way to experience the story. And I mean, as someone that doesn't have a huge amount of experience with dubs, I'll say it doesn't seem to be taking me out. And like there's a particular scream that happens a couple episodes in that I found to be like really frightening, and in the way that
fucking love
that
it
scene
so
seems
much.
to have been going for. And like I was like trying to write a note about it and found myself unable to finish the note because I found the scream to be just so blood curdling that I had to just like pay attention to what was happening on screen. So I like, if they're pulling that stuff off, then as someone that has like a very little baseline to like really say much about dubs and how effective or ineffective they can be, like stuff like that is hitting. And it's like, if it's hitting those high notes, then I guess I feel pretty good about it so far.
Yeah. How about you, Danny?
I think
I
the
watched.
thing
Oh,
that
sorry. Go ahead.
no, go for it.
I was just going to briefly mention I watched the first 7 subbed, and then I watched 6 and 7
Again.
dubbed because
Okay.
I wanted to do some grading, but I also kind of just wanted to get a sense of the flavor of what the dub was like and
Yeah.
all sorts of things. The only thing I really noticed was just that it appears to me that the subtitles are exactly the same in the. Okay.
Okay.
How do I put this? The
Yeah,
subtitles, the English subtitles are exactly the same in both, even though the dubbed
Is different,
dialogue
yes.
is very
The
not,
English-
not wildly different, but
There are
definitely
some
different.
differences. Yeah. So like the subtitle, when you have Japanese audio track on and you have English subtitles on, that is the only subtitle track.
Yeah,
The
gotcha.
subtitle track doesn't turn into captions
one English
to match
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
English voicing. That's a thing that happens in localization.
Totally.
The game Judgment that just came out from the Yakuza team localized the game twice, once for subtitles and once for spoken dialogue.
Yeah.
And explicitly said like it's different because with English, when you're listening to your native language or to a language you understand, you can hear inflection and tone, and there are certain jokes that land that don't land in writing and vice versa. So that doesn't bug me too much.
Oh, it didn't bug me. I just found it interesting.
Someone
Like,
actually
yeah.
messaged me on Twitter today and was
Yeah.
like, why would because I posted a clip and they were like, why would the dub be different than the subtitles? Well, sometimes timing is off and different, and like it just feels different. So
I noticed like I had the subtitles are on by default.
Yeah.
When you load up Ava in Netflix, and just as someone that often keeps subtitles, like I'm so used to it in games that sometimes I just leave, captions on and sometimes like on just by default. The fact that they didn't match up, I was like, oh fuck this. Like I am not going to be able to handle this. I have to just pick one path or the other. It's either Japanese voices and the subtitles, or it's the English dub and no subtitles, because like I understand like the explanation for why that like gap exists, but like there's just no way I'm going to be able to like stay immersed in the story like when I notice like a whole line is missing or like a couple of words.
Yeah, totally. For me, the worst part of that is there's an episode that we'll get to today that has lots of on-screen text,
Yes.
and much of it is just not translated at all,
Yeah.
and that feels like a huge misstep. Rob, you were going to add something here too, though.